Hello, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Kenobi's Facebook Live every Monday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I am your host, Dan Z, here to talk some Star Wars with each and every one of you. It's great to have you on the big program tonight. Tonight, we are going to talk about your top 5 favorite Anakin Skywalker moments. And I don't know about you, but there are so many countless ones in the Clone Wars alone that I almost had to put up the white flag. Because there's just so many to think about in the process, because we've got a lot of great Anakin Skywalker mythology. So this is a great problem to have. Well, look who's here. Thomas Hodge is here. He says, his first one I'm catching live. So pumped. Thomas, welcome to the program. It's great to have you on Coffee with Kenobi's Facebook Live. Naturally, if you're not able to catch us live like Thomas is tonight, you can certainly catch the replay on YouTube or on Instagram. Both, of course, just type Coffee with Kenobi and you will find me there. Or you can listen to the audio feed on our podcast feed, wherever you find podcasts, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, and YouTube has an audio version of it as well. Ben, no sorry necessary. It's good to have you back. Mary, thank you. This Her Universe shirt is from Celebration Orlando in 2017. Josh says 3/5 of his are from Clone Wars. Welcome. And Jason, hey man, good to have you. Jason is also a first-time member joining us live. So Jason, welcome. So great to have you here, buddy. So great to have you here. I'm very excited to chat with you. Let's see who else is here. Mason is here, piloting my civilian Coffee with Kenobi, or my regular Facebook account. Minta is here. Hello, Minta. Mary, hello. Happy Monday to you. Oh, man, this is so cool. So cool. Good to see everybody here. We've got a few more people joining us as we speak. So let's go ahead and start the show. We're going to take a look at what is making news in the world of Star Wars this week.
And now, let's see what's brewing in the Star Wars universe this week.
You know what? Good idea, Tom Kane. Let's do that. Hello, good to have you here. Brian, welcome. Brian, I believe, if my memory serves, I've gotten a lot of emails, but I believe you've been emailing me about Celebration. I will definitely get back to you. Don't worry about that. I did not forget about you, my friend. I promise. Josh says, Matt Lanter is his favorite Anakin. The rest are great, but Clone Wars is just so good. Yeah, you know what? We're going to have a lot of fun talking about that. Well, how about this? James is here as well. Hello, James. Welcome to the program. James says, hello. It's funny we were talking about Anakin because I literally ordered a Shmi Skywalker Power of the Jedi figure today for my Star Wars collection. Well, how cool is that? And welcome to the show. Man, it's so good to see everybody here, all these new members of the Coffee with Kenobi family joining us here on Facebook Live. So great. All right, well, as far as what's brewing in the world of Star Wars today, naturally, I shouldn't say naturally, but hopefully this week you heard on Coffee with Kenobi our top 5 spoiler-free things we love about Light of the Jedi. I have been rereading these books, and I mean, I enjoyed them the first time, but the second time through, they're just blowing my mind. So we've been doing a lot of stuff with Light of the Jedi, and those of you who are on the fence, I'm looking at you, Jared Cantor. I know, buddy. I promise you, when you actually listen to this audiobook, the audiobook, of course, from Penguin Random House Audio, is a New York Times bestseller read by Mark Thompson. It is brilliant. If you listen to the last Coffee with Kenobi on our podcast feed, then you heard a sample, and that was pretty sweet. I'm really impressed with what they've done and what they're doing with all the audiobooks, and of course with everything with the High Republic. This week on Coffee with Kenobi, Tom Gross is returning to join me. We're going to give you top 5 moments from A Test of Courage. That is by Justina Ireland. Basically, they both came out the same day in January, but we're going to give you top 5 spoiler-free things about it and top 5 reasons to read the book. It's tremendously good. Tremendously good. All right, honestly, the only thing I have besides that is I want to do a quick plug to support the Coffee with Kenobi CWK Alliance. The CWK Alliance is, of course, our Patreon page. We have the exclusive weekly CWK pour-over. Now, if you are not a member of the CWK Alliance, that's okay. Basically, all that means is you're supporting Coffee with Kenobi through a financial means, and you get things out of it as well. You get access to CWK Pour-Over, hosted by myself, Tom Gross and Corey Clubb, and we certainly talk Star Wars, but we also talk about a lot of other things from popular culture, and we think, we laugh. It's a really, really fun show that I'm really proud of. And this week, we have our top 10 favorite albums this week. It is numbers 10 through 6. We certainly have a very wide, expansive range of albums that we talk about, and it's a great time. At certain levels, you either get the audio version of the podcast or a video version. So that is just something for you to think about. But again, if you want to get this sweet beanie, we did a trucker hat a couple of months ago. It sold out pretty quickly. It was great. These are not catching on as quickly as I'd hoped, but that's okay. I will say, though, tonight is the last chance to buy these things. I think we had to sell 13 more in order to get these things printed. So if we don't get 13 more tonight, then we won't be able to print these things. We've gotten a few orders already, but of course I'd like to get some more. I'd love to wear this hat to support the show and everybody in this wonderful Star Wars community that we have. And we've got another first-timer, Justin Heimbuck. I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name, Justin, but thank you so much for joining us. It's a thrill to have you on Coffee with Kenobi. Oh my God, look at this. It's so great seeing all these new faces. I'm very, very happy and blessed. A lot of our usuals, a few of our usuals are here, but a lot of people are busy, and I understand that. Again, that's why we do the replay and all that good stuff as well. So again, whether you're joining us tonight or you're watching us later on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or listening to the show on Coffee with Kenobi, we're thrilled to have you. Yeah, Josh says, welcome. It's great fun. It is great fun. And speaking of great fun, I know that you're all here to talk about our top 5 Anakin Skywalker moments. So I think it's time to dive right in. I've got my list ready, and hopefully you all do too as well. But you know what? You could just make it up as you go. I'm not going to know the difference, and I'm certainly not going to be grading you. It's just a really fun thing to chat about. So again, today we are talking about our top 5 Anakin Skywalker moments. So obviously this was not an easy thing to do because Anakin Skywalker is a legendary character. I would argue the most important character in the entire Star Wars mythology. This is obviously Darth Vader, not Anakin, but he's close. So this is my closest example that I could wear for tonight. This is an original Dave Filoni design as well, this image itself. Okay, top 5 favorite Anakin Skywalker moments. Go ahead and type them in the comments if you would. My number 5 is Old Friends Not Forgotten. This is the first episode of the Siege of Mandalore arc, the final 4 episodes of the Clone Wars when they wrapped up the series. And at the beginning of the first episode of this 4-part arc, Anakin shows up on this battlefield very, very casually, very arrogantly. Doesn't even turn on his lightsaber. He walks right to a bunch of battle droids, eventually takes them all out very excitingly, very swashbuckler style, and also very aggressively. So, of course, he's getting close to becoming Vader. But it's a great episode showing kind of the joy and wonder that is Anakin Skywalker and how incredibly powerful he was in the Clone Wars itself. All right, let's get to everybody else's number 5s. Minta says, are you an angel? Probably the cutest pickup line by little Anakin. That's funny. Yeah, that's a good one. I think that's one of the first things we even hear Anakin say. It's certainly the first thing that he ever says to Padme, which is pretty cool. Mary says, young Anakin during the pod race, he was so innocent, caring, and wanted to help everyone. Yes, and can you imagine being Anakin's parent and seeing him go through that dangerous race? Wow, crazy. Justin brings up one that we're going to hear later in the show, undoubtedly. Now, this is pod racing, when, of course, Anakin in Episode 1 is going up against all the droid fighters in space. Ross, welcome to the show, big guy. Good to have you here. Ross is number 5. Young Anakin introducing Padme and R2 to the droid he is building, the non-gold-plated C-3PO. Yes, yes, yes. That's a key one. I remember I was just telling Mason this because we actually watched The Phantom Menace over the weekend for like the millionth time, I think. And Mason and I were talking about when I first saw The Phantom Menace, hearing everybody clap at certain sequences in the movie. And when C-3PO was first introduced, everybody was really excited. Jason's number 5, Obi-Wan telling Luke about his father and the Force in A New Hope. Anakin is in the scene, but it sets the stage for everything that comes after it in the OT. Well, that's clever. I hadn't thought about using that example. That's a really great example. Number 5 for Brian, pod racing. Just all the pod racing, all the fun of that, for sure. Tell your sister you were right. Oh, nice one, Dave. And Dave, welcome. Good to have you here, buddy, of course. For Thomas, could technically go down as Vader, but the moment when Ahsoka and Vader duel, then Anakin's voice breaks through, just shows he was always still there. Yep, just like on the shirt. That's a very great moment for sure. For Ben, Clone Wars Season 7, Unfinished Business. When he defeats Admiral Trench, it shows what his anger is capable of when he channels it towards something good. And that is a very challenging sentence, Ben. Very interesting. Yeah. Anger and good. The Jedi might disagree with you, but I know exactly what you're saying. He used it to defeat an enemy, but it's definitely very chilling, too. Because we know that this is one of the last dominoes to fall for him. Aaron, good to have you, Aaron. Aaron's number 5 is his honesty and humility shown to Kenobi before saying goodbye, contrasted with the visuals, the visual light versus dark of the scene. I love it, Aaron. That's good. I really like your Facebook profile picture. That's fun. Oh, Mason says hi, Ross. Oh, that's fun, Mason. That was nice of you, buddy. Joshua, number 5, cameo in the Trace and Rafa arc. A bit of an unexpected one, even to me. But I found his brief appearance very touching when Yularen was about to have them arrested. But Anakin senses Ahsoka and lets them pass over an interesting spin on the Vader sequence between Luke and Vader in Return of the Jedi. Ooh, good. That's a nice, very specific, deep cut. A very, very quick moment in that episode, but no less powerful. Excellent. Excellent. Mason's number 5, by the way, is when Anakin fights Dooku. Yeah. And there are, of course, a number of times when he does, but I'm pretty sure, and Mason, feel free to let me know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure Mason is talking about when he first faces Dooku in Attack of the Clones. Pardon me, and he's using the 2 lightsabers. I think that's it. But let me know if I'm wrong, Mason, for sure. Daniel, hello, Daniel. Awesome profile picture. He says Attack of the Clones when he's piloting erratically, and the banter that they have in that speeder. Yeah, that's pretty fun. Pretty fun moment, early banter between them as Anakin is older than in that particular scene. All right. Number 4. Top 5 favorite Anakin moments. Oh, Mason says nope. Is it from Revenge of the Sith when he fights Dooku? That must be what you're talking about. Okay. For my number 4, it's when he's in defense of Ahsoka all through the last couple episodes of Season 5. And it's great because he does a lot of detective work. He confronts Ventress and almost ends her, if not for her quick talking. And he's still in the light, so that obviously makes a big difference. But his loyalty to her, she's like the sister he never had. And it's very moving, very powerful, and it's just cool to see a different side of Anakin, but I really, really enjoyed that part. And yes, Mason was right in Revenge of the Sith. I don't know, I should have said that first, buddy. My apologies. Minta's number 4. Anakin and Obi-Wan in the opening sequence of Revenge of the Sith. Ooh, another happy landing, right? That's a great one. Josh says, I can't take credit for it. I heard someone bring it up on the review for that episode. I believe it's called The Trace. Yeah, that's right. Very good. Thank you for listening, too. I love that. Mary says, beginning of Revenge of the Sith, just like what Minta just said. Anakin and Kenobi flying and having that great banter between them. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That music is so awesome, too. Justin says, duel with Count Dooku and Attack of the Clones. Certainly. Let's see, who else do we have here? Jason says, young Anakin blasting destroyer droids while hidden in the cockpit of a Naboo starfighter in The Phantom Menace. It's a cool scene that reminds me of a video game. I always like it too. It's very satisfying. You know, he's got this big, powerful laser, and he's safe in that cockpit, so there's no peril for him per se. That's good. For Aaron, he says, it's working. Not sure why, but he really loved this moment as a kid. Maybe it was his determination to press on despite the doubts of others and every other part of the race itself, as mentioned already. Very good. Ross says Anakin confronting Barriss Offee for framing Ahsoka. Anakin's hurt at Ahsoka rejecting the order to return to the Jedi's. Rejecting the offer to return to the Jedi Order. Yes, that's a very emotional one, Ross. That's a good one too. A good character moment. For Ben, saying goodbye to his mom, especially when he starts walking away, paired with that deep music. I believe that's when we first see the first seed towards the dark side is planted. Oh, probably. And even like when I was older, when I would hear that music, it would make me a little bit sad. I think because it reminded me of that part. For Thomas, number 4, Anakin saving R2 in Clone Wars, season 1 or season 2. I think it's season 1. I know exactly what we're talking about. It's season 1. That's a good one. Their bond is really, really great. Josh, the interaction with Rush Clovis, these episodes wouldn't go on my all-time favorite Clone Wars favorites, but his interactions with Rush gives both comedic gold and interesting character development. You again? Yes, me again. Yeah, that's good. I got to show Mason those. Those are good. Mason's number 4, I'm going to read it exactly as he wrote it. He says, throwing the Emperor down, down, down the elevator shaft in Return of the Jedi. It's pretty much the first moment when he becomes Anakin again after, 23 years. So, yeah, that's great. I was proud of Mason for coming up with that one. Daniel's number 4, saying goodbye to his mother for the first time. Oof, yeah, that's a very powerful one for sure. Brian's number 4, we came to save you, Master, on Geonosis, and Obi-Wan says, good job. Yep, but it wasn't a good job because they were all captured. All right, very good. Number 3 of our top 5 favorite Anakin Skywalker moments. Number 3 is the duel in Revenge of the Sith. Now, this is kind of cheating because he's Vader now, but he still is Hayden Christensen, so it's conceivable that people still think of him as Anakin, but he's not. I mean, he's fighting his master. But the music, especially the first, I'd say 5 to 6 minutes of the duel, is my favorite before they start fighting on the lava. They're fighting in that basically conference room or right outside of Padme's ship. It's powerful. The music is great, and it's the moment we've been waiting for since A New Hope. So it's powerful stuff. Mita's number 3, Anakin using the Force to control the son and daughter from season 3 of Clone Wars. You could see how powerful he was even before he fell to the dark side. I was thinking about putting Mortis on there. We need to do like a whole episode about Mortis. Maybe we'll do like key Clone Wars episodes or arcs or something like that. That's a good one. Mita, thank you for reminding me of that. Jason, Anakin seeing Yoda's counsel in Revenge of the Sith shows his humanity and the real struggle between upholding his ideals and pursuing his desires. Pardon me, my goodness, I'm so sorry. Jason, that's a great one. Ross says, Anakin walking Ahsoka to Rex and the 332nd Company, which is Ahsoka's clone troopers, and giving her the lightsabers he improved. Oh, that's a good one. That probably should have been my number 5. Oh, Ross, that's a good one. Man, I'd start running these by you so you can help me remember this stuff. Very good. Number 3 for Ben. Clone Wars Season 4, Slaves of the Republic. It's a very personal endeavor for him to free slaves. Plus, I like when he salutes to R2 to send him the lightsaber just like Luke does on the barge in Return of the Jedi. Oh, that's a good one. That's a really cool one. Thomas number 3, Yoda asking Anakin to help him break out of the Jedi Temple in Clone Wars Lost Missions. I like that one too. That's a good one. Let's see. Daniel, Revenge of the Sith in the beginning when the Jedi fighter / Vector. Love it, love it, love it. Mary's number 3, Anakin and Padme meeting secretly in season 7. The meeting is very touching, and we as observers know she's pregnant, but does he? And you think he's been sneaky about it, but Obi-Wan knows what's going on. Yeah, you feel like you would sense that, but maybe not. Maybe he's just not thinking about it and too distracted. Aaron's number 3, general humor between him and Kenobi. But one example is him telling Kenobi to go find his girlfriend and not hang around for Kenobi's comeback. Yes, the banter between them. Sometimes it's fun and sometimes it's frustrating because you don't want to see them fight. But yeah, when it's done right, it's really done well. And Jason says, Ross says his honorable mention. Oh, that's cool. I love that. And Justin says, Ben, that's my number 3. Look at that. Look at that. I love it when a good plan comes together. Number 3 for Mason is pod racing. The pod racing sequence. Fascinated by it. In fact, before tonight, I was showing him my Phantom Menace visual guide, and we were just looking at all the different pod racers and their pods themselves, and that was pretty fun. Joshua Dooku captured, from season 1. Hysterical episodes to introduce us to the best scoundrels, character in Star Wars, Hondo. I do love Hondo. There's some amazing, not quite camaraderie between Anakin, Dooku, and Obi-Wan. Let me put that back up there. He says, Kenobi, could you tell your apprentice to hush his insolence? I'm concentrating. Anakin, hush your insolence. The Count is concentrating. I do like that. There's some fun banter. I did show those to Mason, I think, over the summer, and they're great. For Brian, Anakin's first reaction to being assigned a Padawan in the Clone Wars movie. Yeah, that ended up working out pretty well for him, I would say. Although I guess you could say that's a mixed, but they certainly had a wonderful, legendary connection. Number 2, I put Attack of the Clones Rage. There's only a small amount of space between what you see over here and then when we get to the actual video of me, so I didn't type it out. But basically, it's the sequence where Anakin, when his mother dies, which is horrible, and then the anger that John Williams escalates with that escalating tone of the music, and then he kills all those sand people, and you can hear Qui-Gon, yelling at him to stop, and then we see Yoda meditating and talking with Mace Windu about terrible things happening. Anakin is in great pain. The pathos of that, the power, the energy, the electricity, and the anger and rage, and the very much the knowing that Darth Vader is being bred from this specific incident. There are others, but this is a very important one. Arguably, I would say this, because this happened, it makes him paranoid about losing Padme in Revenge of the Sith because of how he loses his mom. I would argue that. I think that's how important that sequence is to me, for sure. Okay, looks like we got a lot of number 2s, which is great. Minta and Padme. Minta says Anakin and Padme's relationship both beautiful and tragic. Okay, first time that's come up, but I'm glad you did. Thomas, number 2, the entire Mortis arc, especially Vader helmet manifesting behind him. That's cool, Mason. We got to watch that one soon, I think. Ross, Anakin having his future shown him by his son in the 3rd episode of the Mortis arc, Ghosts of Mortis. Yes, for sure. Number 2 for Jason, Anakin's determination to prove Ahsoka's innocence at the end of Clone Wars Season 5, which shows his genuine care and concern for his Padawan. I agree, and that is my number 4. I love that. I think it's very powerful and important. Number 2 for Aaron, vision of his future and foreshadowing of Vader. Definitely. Number 2 for Daniel, the Clone Wars father, son, daughter episode. Nice. I love it. More Mortis love. Number 2 for Ben. He says, me too, Dan. Finding his mom and having that last moment with her. It always breaks my heart to see him go through that. It's a character-defining moment, and Hayden's acting is spot on. It is. It really, really is. Really is. Number 2 for Mary. The Mortis arc. The son showing him the future and how he reacts to it. Showing the light that is in him, even though the Emperor's manipulation overcomes the light. Sadly, it does. For a long time. Justin, Anakin and Padme on Naboo and Attack of the Clones is when Anakin can really be himself for the first time. I'm glad to see the sequences with Padme and Anakin getting a lot of mention here, because sometimes those don't. So I'm glad to see that it reaches some of you. I think that's wonderful. Joshua, Thrawn Alliances. I'm a very big Timothy Zahn and Thrawn fan. Easy for me to say. And I found Anakin's role in Thrawn Alliances very cool. Good character use, showing how he's attached to Padme. So we can't stop worrying about her. I also like the cameo in Thrawn Ascendancy. Cool. Very good. Hey, no problem at all. What should we watch? We should watch the Mortis arc, Mason. And I think we'll probably do that in a very, very soon here in Facebook Live. James says, number 2, episode 1, the pod race. Very good. Yes, the pod race scene everybody loves. Number 2 for Mason is Anakin versus Obi-Wan, similar to my number 3. That is Mason's number 2. That's a great scene. We've only seen Revenge of the Sith together one time, Mason, so we need to watch that one again. Now it is time for our number 1. Our number 1 of our top 5 favorite Anakin Skywalker moments. Number 1 for me, the Palpatine confrontation. This is when he first learns that Palpatine is a Sith Lord, and he says, do you want to kill me? And Anakin says, I would like to. I would very much like to. And Palpatine says, I can feel it. And it's very creepy. It's very sinister. But that 5 to 7 minutes of lead up to that moment is so Shakespearean. I've talked about it countless times on the show, both on the podcast and on Facebook Live. It is so powerful the way that it leads up to that, and just electric. But to me, that is the most conflicted Anakin has been, in my opinion. He wants to trust this man that's been like a mentor or a father figure to him. He also wants to be true to what Anakin has been taught from Obi-Wan and Master Yoda and everyone else in the Jedi. And just, him wanting to be a Jedi his whole life. It's just so, so good. That's my number one for sure. Looks like we've got a lot of number ones here as well, which is fantastic. All right, let's see. Number two for Brian. We didn't get to Brian's number two, so let's make sure we mention that. Obi-Wan and Anakin talking about Obi-Wan's connection to Satine in the elevator, then later Anakin telling Obi-Wan to go save his girlfriend. Yeah, that's pretty cute too. Pretty fun. Meanwhile, Anakin leading Ahsoka to her own clone army in Season 7. Still carried a great deal for her despite that she left the Jedi Temple. The moment he gave her the lightsabers he customized and made it all that much more touching and heartbreaking, not knowing what would occur in the near future. Oh, yeah. I love that too. And when they showed the trailer for that in San Diego, oh man, so exciting. And actually they showed more of that specific sequence at Celebration Chicago, which is so fun. Justin, Anakin returning in Return of the Jedi to save Luke and bring balance to the Force. Ross says, great call. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Jason's number one, Anakin's self-sacrifice to save Luke from the Emperor's Force lighting in Return of the Jedi. This is a beautiful moment when Vader becomes Anakin again. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Daniel's number one, Revenge of the Sith, when he's struggling to find himself and states to Padme, I'm not the Jedi I should be. Yeah, it's all part of that powerful build-up to we know when things are going to go really, really bad. Number one for Ross, Vader giving way to Anakin, saving Luke by destroying Palpatine. Great one. That's Mason's number four. Thomas, Anakin and Palpatine at the Opera. Beautiful score from Williams and some of the best acting in the whole prequel trilogy. Oh, that is so good. Thomas, that's good. That should have been my number one. I love that sequence. That low kind of synthesizer and that weird operatic sea monkey thing going on. And then, is it possible to learn this power, obtain this power, not from a Jedi? So good. So good. Mary's number one, Season 7, when he takes Ahsoka, to the Tano troopers and then gives her back her lightsabers after making them a little bit better. Very good. Good choice. Joe, please don't be sorry. It's great to have you here, my friend. So good to have you. James, Order 66 scene in the end of Return of the Jedi when Anakin kills Palpatine to save his son from the Death Star and then his redemption. I love it. Interesting that you called it an Order 66 scene too. Josh says, Revenge of the Sith, all of it. Oh, it's just so good. Anakin's performance hadn't quite been there yet, but this one, Hayden nails it. So if we were on a pour-over, Josh, I would say that's definitely a tie. That's a very, very broad, but I totally get it. It's an ensemble piece. All those sequences go together, and they're really, really special. So well done, buddy. I'll take it. Ben, turning on Mace Windu, his reaction is critical. You can tell he acted out of desperation, and he immediately regretted it, but then he realized he couldn't turn back. To me, it's proof there was still good in him, which makes his redemption more believable. Great. And Mike is here. Mike is first-time viewer. Mike, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you here on Coffee with Kenobi. Be sure to tell Mike and everybody hello. We've got 4 or 5 new people who are joining us tonight, new members of the CWK family joining us on Facebook Live, which is absolutely, absolutely wonderful. Mary says, meantime, I think we had 3 almost exactly alike. I think you did. And Josh says hello to you, Mike, so definitely welcome. Robert, good to see you, man. Robert's number 1 from Jedi. Let me look at you with my own eyes. Can't watch it with a dry eye. Ooh, that's such a good one. Minta says you must be telepaths or just strong in the Force. That would be my guess, Jason says, well said, Ben, and it really was. Minta, the Force is strong with us. From Mary, definitely is. Always is with you, too. With all of you. Aaron says, seeing Ahsoka for the last time before falling to the dark side. He seems gutted that she didn't take the time to talk to him and then returning her sabers. Together with Ahsoka's viewpoint of the whole scene when describing Anakin to Ezra and Rebels, her regret seems to reflect his disappointment. Very much so. Yes, hi Mike, good to have you here. Ross says, Mary and Minta the Force is strong with you too every week. It's true. It's so true. I love it. All right, nice job, everybody. So next week's show, thank you for joining me again for our top 5 favorite Anakin Skywalker moments. Next week's show, I didn't pick a specific character to do a top 5 of per se, but we're still doing a top 5 naturally. But next week's top 5, and this was an idea that Mason gave me, top 5 Star Wars villains. We've done top 5 Sith. We've done top 5 non-Sith red lightsaber wielders. We've done top 5 Stormtroopers and all kinds of stuff. But we've never just taken all the Star Wars villains as an entire collective and put them in the Coffee with Kenobi Facebook Live pot. So there are a couple of number ones left, but I want to give you a hint as to what is next week top 5 favorite Star Wars villains. Okay, so number 1 for Mason is, now this is pod racing, which someone mentioned earlier. Forgive me, I can't remember. But Mason is number 1 is, now this is pod racing, when Anakin blows up that basically the separate, not the separatists, but the droid army's battle cruiser that is piloting all of the battle droids and all of the droid fighters. And it was sort of accidental, but it wasn't, because he's Anakin Skywalker, right? People, I remember when it came out, people were like, how could a little kid be able to blow up that entire ship by himself on accident? Well, because he's Anakin Skywalker, the most powerful Jedi. That's why. And even at that age, he's that much of an impact. So that's Mason's number 1, and it's a very good one. We have another number 1 on here as well. Brian says Anakin and Obi-Wan standing on the platform on Mustafar after he force chokes Padme, then boils her with hate before beginning the duel of the fates. Yes, and what a duel of the fates it is, for sure. Minta is excited for next week's top 5 Star Wars villains. Dave is on board as well. James says, I guess this is an Anakin moment since he comes out for a second during Rebel Season 2 versus Ahsoka versus Vader duel when his helmet gets cut off and he calls out Ahsoka's name and she says, I won't leave you. Yeah, that's powerful stuff too. Josh has already found his number 1. Shouldn't be hard to guess if you know me. And Daniel is fired up as well. Yeah, my number 1 is probably going to be easy, but I'm going to go for some deep cuts. I'm going to pick from the books. I'm going to pick from Clone Wars and Rebels. Man, top 5, that's going to be hard. That's going to be really hard to do. Woof, what am I doing to myself? Anyway, let's play some Star Wars trivia, shall we? Let's transition over to some Star Wars trivia. Now, just like always, and Ben says I'm not going to try really hard to pick Vader next week as number 1. I know. I wonder how many people are going to have Vader as their number 1. I don't know. There's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot, for sure. All right. So, Star Wars trivia. Now, when we do this, Cad Bane. Yeah, Cad Bane is a good one. Man, this is going to be another hard one. I love it. But I like to challenge everybody. Speaking of, let's do our Star Wars trivia. There may be some challenging ones. There may be some easy ones. But whatever you do, don't Google it. Don't look it up in the Star Wars book, #shameless plug, or anywhere else. Just do your best and let the Force guide you. You're all winning because we all get to spend this time together, and I really appreciate that. All right. Here's the first question. Which Jedi gets valuable intelligence from the pallid Tion Madan about General Grievous's activities? This is one of those questions that I didn't read before, and I should have, because I feel like you're all going to get this. Which Jedi gets valuable intelligence from the pallid Tion Madan about General Grievous's activities? Again, which Jedi gets valuable intelligence from the pallid Tion Madan about General Grievous's activities? So Jason says Obi-Wan. Minta says Obi-Wan. Okay, any other guesses? Thomas says Kenobi. Jeff says Obi-Wan. Ross says Obi-Wan. Brian says Obi-Wan. Mason says Obi-Wan. The answer is Obi-Wan Kenobi, naturally. All right. Okay. And Mary says Kenobi, as does Mike. So everybody wins. Everybody got that one right. Now here's a tricky one. Maybe, because there's a lot of possibilities here. Which Jedi Master comments that the dark side is hard to see? Hard to see. Obi-Wan, we got you, Joe. You're safe. Josh, we know you got it too. And Daniel also picked up one, which is good. So, unless you're picking this one, so sorry about that. Which Jedi Master comments the dark side is hard to see? We got Yoda. We've got Yoda. Yoda. Mace Windu. Yoda. Yoda. Mason says Yoda. Mary says Yoda. Ben says Yoda. Basically, everyone's saying Yoda. Most of you are saying Yoda. Josh says Yoda. The answer is Yoda. The answer is definitely Yoda. Okay. Very good. Which duo exchanges salutes and good wishes before their respective Endor missions? Which duo exchanges salutes and good wishes before their respective Endor missions? Dave, don't worry about your spell check. I will type the most random things on my phone, like texting, and it'll just pop up and say like Yoda or something random. So that's a different kind of spell check trick, but I understand how you feel. Jess says Luke and Han. Jason says Lando and Han. Thomas says Han and Lando. Ben says Han and Lando. Mary says Lando and Han. Again, which duo exchanges salutes and good wishes before their respective Endor missions? Han and Lando from Josh. Brian says Han and Lando. Robert says Han and Lando. Minta, Mike says it as well. So this is from Return of the Jedi. It's before they salute, give each other some good wishes and some good luck before going to Endor. Looks like we get a lot of Josh says good luck, you're gonna need it. That's actually earlier. No, Mason, that's okay. I know you know the answer. The answer is Han and Lando. It's right after they do the briefing, and then Lando, of course, is going to lead the attack in space, whereas Han's going to go on the planet surface and try to get rid of the shield generator. And Jason has the quote, "Would you get going, you old pirate? Not a scratch on her. I gave you my word." That's right. Ooh, here we go. Han and Lando, you got it, Mason. All right. How many landing strut supports does an X-Wing have at rest? How many landing supports does an X-Wing's strut support have at rest? I'll read it again. How many landing strut supports... Blah, this is harder than it looks, apparently. How many landing struts support an X-Wing at rest? How many landing struts support an X-Wing at rest? We've got 3, we've got 4, we've got 2, we've got 3, we've got 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. We've got a lot of good guesses here. And see, now we're getting more and more people. So next week, what you should do, always bring a friend with you so we can double, triple, quadruple our audience. The more people we have, the better. So the final answer, and Josh says, thank you, Lego, is for how many landing struts support an X-Wing at rest, the answer is 3. There is the 1 in the front and then 2 in the back. Okay. Let's see. That was too easy. Oh, Raquel is here. Hello, Raquel. My cousin Raquel is here. Raquel, who introduced me to Star Wars. I've told that story many times. Raquel, it's so good to have you here. Love you. Good to see you. Daniel, 2 back, 1 in the front. You got it, buddy. You got it. All right, let's do the next one. We've got time for a few more. Let's see. Who sees Luke Skywalker before the attack on the first Death Star and exclaims, "I don't believe it. How are you?" Who sees Luke Skywalker before the attack on the first Death Star and exclaims, "I don't believe it. How are you?" How are you is probably a better accurate way to say it. So again, who sees Luke Skywalker before the attack on the first Death Star and exclaims, "I don't believe it. How are you?" So let's see, we've got Biggs, Wedge, Biggs, 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 Biggs. Mason says Han. Mike says Wedge. Cammy says Biggs. Ross says Biggs. Brian says Biggs. Robert says Biggs. Mary says Biggs. Ben says Biggs. Biggs Darklighter is, of course, Luke's friend, and they are reunited on Yavin. And Mason's got Biggs now, too. And Biggs and his mustache. That's right. His striking 70s mustache. But the reason he doesn't believe is he didn't expect to see Luke in the rebellion, or off of Tatooine for that matter. Darklighter, a Star Wars story. Yeah, no kidding. It is Biggs Darklighter, naturally, of course. Okay. Who Wonders Aloud? No, I'm not going to read that one. That one's too easy. The question was, for those of you curious, was Who Wonders Aloud? Why do I sense we picked up another pathetic life form? Of course, it's Obi-Wan talking about Jar Jar. Oh, speaking of Jar Jar, there you go. Sorry, James. For the record, again, I love Jar Jar. I think he's fun. He's funny. He makes all of my boys laugh. And Ahmad Best, who was on Coffee with Kenobi over the summer, is an awesome, super smart, intelligent guy. Really charismatic, too. Okay. I feel like this one's easy, but we'll ask it. Who is the second person to join Han Solo's Endor command crew? Who is the second person? Or, yeah. Who is the second person to join Han Solo's Endor command crew? Could be a trick question, or it could not be. Who is the second person to join Han Solo's Endor command crew? Dave says Leia. That's the first guess so far. Rex, Leia. Leia. A lot of calls for Leia. Thomas says Chewie. Brian says Leia. Ben says Leia. The answer is Leia. She's the second person. She speaks up right away. Mike says Leia too. Josh, honestly, I was thinking Chewbacca as well, but it said person. And as much as I love Chewbacca, he's not a person. He's a Wookiee. So it's a different thing, but he's certainly very with it. The strike team. Ooh. No, that's too easy. It says, who's the first character to speak in A New Hope? How about this? Not only tell me the character, but what the character says. Who was the first person to speak in A New Hope, and what does the character say? So what do you think? First character to speak in A New Hope, and what does this individual say? Who is the first character to speak in A New Hope, and what does this individual say? I'll give you a hint. If you're a member of the CWK Alliance, you've heard me talk about this a lot, or if you listen to Coffee with Kenobi, you've heard me talk about this character because this is the first character I ever had as an action figure in Star Wars. Ben says C-3PO. C-3PO, this is madness from Robert. Yep, that's the full question. Mary says 3PO. Jess says 3PO. Aaron says C-3PO, something about flying. So the answer is 3PO. So what I really want everybody to answer now is, what is the first thing 3PO says? And I'm surprised it stumped a few people. And in the background, my dog is barking. I apologize for that. She's excited. She wants to answer too. James says, I know it's C-3PO, but I can't remember what he said. C-3PO, Josh, there'll be no escape for the princess this time. That's close, but that's not the first thing 3PO says. Any other guesses? Let me look through the answers again. Let's see if anybody got it. I see Mita says, did you hear that? And actually, C3 or R2D2 is the first one to talk specifically. But he just beeps naturally. So yes, I had like this complete blank, and I started thinking about Ross mentioned Trubisky, and I started thinking about the Chicago Bears, and so I was like, oh no, something bad's gonna happen because it's the Bears. That's funny. Did you hear that? Is the first line in A New Hope, and it's said by C-3PO. So Minta, you got the full answer. C-3PO does say very, very quickly after that, we're doomed, certainly, for sure. All right, let's do one or two more. Let's see. Interesting. This is going to be a tough one. I'm just going to tell you, it's going to be a tough one. Which diplomat is vice chairman of the Senate under Chancellors Valorum and Palpatine? Which diplomat is vice chairman of the Senate under Chancellor Valorum and Palpatine? It's a good one. I'll let that soak in. Let's see. Which diplomat is vice chairman of the Senate under Chancellors Valorum and Palpatine? Any ideas? James says Massa Amida. Jason says Orn Frita. It's actually a pretty close spelling, Jason. What diplomat is the vice chairman of the Senate under Chancellors Valorum and Palpatine? Darth Jar Jar? Nope, no such thing. Blue guy. Massa Amida. The answer has definitely been said already. Brian says Massa Amida. That's a pretty good guess. Thomas says Massa Amida. Massa Amida. That is a toughie. Ben's going to get the white flag. Hey, I respect that. There's actually a great, in Aftermath, the Chuck Wendig trilogy that takes place right after Return of the Jedi. There's actually a very interesting, disturbing story about what happens to this character. Mary is not sure. The answer, anybody else want to guess? Mason, have a guess? I'll give it a few moments. But again, the question is, what diplomat is vice chairman of the Senate under Chancellors Valorum and Palpatine? Tall horn guy. He is a tall horn guy. He is blue. And his name is Massa Amida. Yes, it's Massa Amida. All right, we'll do one more. Let's see. Let me see. Oh, we're going to end with this one. How many horns protrude from Darth Maul's head? No cheating. How many horns protrude from Darth Maul's head? I have no idea. I would have had to get my action figure out or something. But don't do that. How many horns protrude from Darth Maul's head? So how many horns did Darth Maul have? How many horns did Darth Maul have on the top of his head? Jeff, here comes the guesses. Jeff says 6. Mike says 8. Jason says 9. Ben says 7. James says 4 or 5. Mason says 4. Joe says 8. Thomas says 7. Mason is now saying 8. Rob says 7. Ross says 6. Daniel says 8. It's between 1 and 1,000. It's definitely between 1 and 1,000. Minta says 9. Gosh, maybe I'm going to have to say what was closest. Raquel says 4. Raquel, I'm trying to figure out your picture, your profile picture. I'm so excited that you're here to join us. It's so cool. Aaron says 9. Mary says 10. Oh boy, I'm really glad I found this one. This is a very, very good one. So, the final answer to how many horns protrude from Darth Maul's head. The answer is, I'm just going to put the picture on the screen of the person who got it correct. We've already proven she's strong in the Force tonight. Mary is correct. The answer is 10. Darth Maul has 10 horns across the top of his head. Very nicely done, Mary. Very nicely done. Well, that is going to do it this week for Coffee with Kenobi's Facebook Live. Again, every Monday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. We start out really, really strongly. It's wonderful to see all of you here. Be sure next week to join us as we give our top 5 favorite Star Wars villains. Please bring a friend and let's get this party increased. The more people we have, the better. It's just fun. It's fun to talk Star Wars with you. Next week, again, we're going to talk about top 5 Star Wars villains. Oh, it's a picture of you and Uncle and your father, Uncle Vic. Oh, awesome. I love it. Jeff, welcome. Thanks so much for having time in your schedule to chat with us. Ben, great to have you. Jason, it was a blast to have you here, buddy. Minta, may the Force be with you. Good job tonight. Josh, great episodes. CT7567, love it. I love it. Pong Krell's a good Star Wars villain. Yeah, you definitely can use any characters from any of the stories of Star Wars. Even stuff from the Legends line, quite honestly. Again, next week, top 5 Star Wars villain. In the meantime, while you're getting ready, Be sure to listen to Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule, read by Mark Thompson. They are our sponsor and do an amazing job. That is such a powerful, powerful book. You've probably heard my interview with Charles Soule on Coffee with Kenobi about a month ago. And this week we talked about top 5 spoiler-free things we love about it. We talked a lot about Star Wars and the adventures that all the characters have while traveling across the galaxy. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us tonight. Aaron, pleasure to have you. James, Mike, gosh, it's so great to see so many of you here tonight. And be sure to join us next week at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time as we give our top 5 Star Wars villains. Have a good week, everybody. And remember, this is the podcast you're looking for. See you next time.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here.